Right. Happy, what is it? Saturday? Days are starting to blur together here a little bit.
It is
Happy
Saturday.
Saturday. What's that?
It is Saturday.
It is indeed Saturday, at least for a few more hours.
Hmm.
S- So, yeah, day 20, tasting number 4. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I hope you're having a great weekend. For those of you who are off work, congratulations. Some of the rest of us have a bit more slaving away to do.
Yeah. Congratulations. We hate you.
Yes. Before we get to the meat and potatoes of the tasting, while we're waiting for some stragglers, friendly reminder, our January tastings are now up. The January Scotch Malt Whisky Society outturn kits are ready to go. There's also an 8 p.m. tasting. The 6 p.m. is sold out. Then the week after, we've got quite a week. We've got Richard Urquhart from Gordon MacPhail coming to launch two new casks with us, a Glenbergie and a Milton Duff. We're not sure what the rest of the lineup's going to be. It depends in part on what else arrives or clears customs in time. But we're not exactly spoiled, or we are spoiled for choice. There's no shortage of options, but there was a few things we were
Hmm.
hoping to feature. Just announced this the other day. We've got Emiko from Nika coming. This is the first time anyone from Nika has hosted a masterclass in Alberta. So she's going to come out. She's coming out for a whiskey festival fundraiser the next night. But the day before, she's going to do a deconstruction tasting of the From the Barrel, which will be really fun. And there's not many spots left for that. That's been going quick. There's our Whiskey Festival fundraiser, which is not quite an MS Whiskey Festival, but it's an attempt to step in and fill the gap. So that's coming up. We're hoping to raise about $8,000 for the Calgary Food Bank and a local women's shelter, the Brenda Strafford Foundation. Limited to 80 people. It's a 3 hour event. It includes a cut crystal glass we've bought from the MS Society. So they're getting some of their money back from their leftover glasses. So it'll be good fun. There'll be some good drams, and at least 7 brand ambassadors are going to be there for the event, um, because they were going to Victoria anyway, and we've managed to tie them up for one more night. Following week is our Burns Bash, our annual frugal whiskey festival. That's sold out, so we won't dwell on it. Harmony's got an intro to whiskey tasting coming up for those of you who'd like to know more. And last couple ones, James Bourne and I are going to do a Kensington Wine Market casks G&M tasting, 7 different KWM casks from the last few years. There's a bit of duplication here. We'll be using this to launch the 2 new ones that are arriving, but it'll also probably be the last time you ever see our Bladnoch in a tasting because that's just about sold out. There's an undisclosed Orkney tasting, so all Orkney bottles, but none of them named. And then finally, a signatory smorgasbord. All that is coming up in January and February, and I'm sure there'll be more in the months ahead, but that's what we've got ready to go for now. Anything to add to that, Evan?
No, not that I can think of. We still do have to get some wine stuff up on there.
We
I
do.
think we're going to try and get a wine festival in as well in February or March in store.
Hmm.
But yeah, to be continued on that.
All right. Well, should we crack? I think it's door 16 or window 16
Yeah,
to see what's behind it. So behind window number 16, bottle's fighting me a little bit, doesn't want to come out. We've got the single malts of Scotland, Linkwood 13 years. So this is our Linkwood cask that we launched a few months back. And I'm able to wrestle the top off, Evan. So that's a
nice.
double win. It came
Good
out of the
job.
box and I didn't need pliers to open it.
Hmm. Yeah, so man, it's we almost could probably do a whiskey calendar just of Linkwood SMOS single casks of ours and Berry Brothers single casks of ours. At the moment,
Seriously.
they're two companies that have been really, really easy to work with and have been giving us some very reasonable pricing on single casks as well as some quality whiskey. This Linkwood is phenomenal. If you haven't had a chance to try it yet, and this is your first time, hold on tight if you're a fan of Linkwood, because this one's a fantastic one. I believe it's a hogshead, it says. It doesn't say what kind of hogshead. I believe you
Prob
are thinking probably some sherry in there.
I don't know. I mean, let's dive in there and find out. I mean, maybe in my tasting note, I
Yeah.
speculated on that. Uh, I'm not entirely sure, but I mean, more often than not, when you just see hogshead, it's an ex-bourbon hogshead. So, oh, is Marty back? Marty, are you back from Germany,
Well, virtually.
or is he joining us from Germany in the wee hours of the morning? Um, yeah, Evan, there may have been some speculation at some point in time as to whether this was a bourbon hoggy or a sherry hoggy. I, I would bet it's probably a bourbon hoggy.
Mm.
Most of them are bourbon casks and they're rebuilt bourbon casks. There are
Yep.
purpose-built sherry hogsheads that are out there, but I mean it's American oak. I think we can say that because it's very
Hmm.
creamy. It's got these nice lush vanilla tones to it. And there's a
Yep.
nice kind of sweet and sour thing going on the nose here.
Yeah, totally. So Linkwood, typically, we've been fortunate to get some pretty good single casks over the years. Not just us, but in general from different independent bottlers. Linkwood does do really well in ex-bourbon and refill, in my opinion. It tends to have this really kind of floral slash fruity character, a little bit of waxiness to it when it gets to the teenage years like this one. And is just so approachable
Mhm.
stylistically.
Yeah, so much apple, cinnamon, kind of like baked pie, like a store-bought apple pie.
Hmm.
Well, I guess what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say
just
is not a homemade one. It doesn't have that homemade feel to it.
no. But it is really creamy, this one, both on the nose and palate. It does have some floral spice notes coming through and maybe a bit of ginger on the palate as well. But it's just one of my favorite descriptors that you use that always comes up
Mhm.
in Linkwood is pillowy.
Yeah. Pillowy's like for Linkwood, it's almost always pillowy, whether it's bourbon or sherry. It's just got this really nice, soft, kind of lifted, elevated mouthfeel to it. And I think this is a good example of it. For cask strength for 13 years of age, I think this is very approachable, very drinkable. It's a good drinking strength for it.
Yeah,
And it's juicy. This is a very fresh, juicy, easy drinking single malt. And for $132, I think it's a pretty good buy as well.
absolutely. Yeah, really good combination of like an oily and creamy character on the palate as well.
Mhm.
Peach fuzz, Zach says, I think you could go with the fuzzy peach candies even on that one. A bit of that flavor to it as well. It full on juicy fruit gum, just a stick of it that you put in your
Mhm.
mouth on the palate as well. Just a fantastic dram. Um, Maybe I shouldn't say it because we still have some to go through. We have five more bottles to try after tonight's tasting in the calendar, but I think it was kind of a toss-up between putting this one and the Tormore in
Mhm.
the calendar. Would have loved to see the Tormore in there as well, but happy we at
Mhm.
least got the Linkwood.
Yeah. Well, and talk just quickly talking about the distillate for a while. I mean, and the distillery
Mhm.
itself, fairly old distillery, traces back to 1821 after the end of the Small Stills Act. It's owned by Diageo. The bulk of the whiskey goes into blended whiskey, but it is a
Yep.
little unique in that it has a very long fermentation for
Mhm.
uh, essentially a whiskey factory that's being run to produce spirit for those Johnny Walker blends. And that kind of fragrant floral profile owes a lot to a combination of those long fermentations, but a very clear
Yep.
wort. So they don't have that sort of very dark, cloudy beer that you get in most distilleries. They have a very clear wort. And I think that is part of why you have that very elevated, light floral style.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is a bit of a factory, although even with those long fermentation times, I think it's around 5.6 million liters a year that they can
Mhm.
generate spirit wise annually if they're running sort of 7 days a week, 24 hours a day for their runs. But it's kind of been outstripped by other distilleries. It used to be one of the bigger ones that Diageo had for a while, but it hasn't hit that 10 million mark that I think they have four distilleries at now.
Well, and the rumor is that there's a new guy in charge at Diageo starting next year, and
Mhm.
he is what's the best way to put this? Like a recovery specialist. He's the kind of guy that you bring in to like cut costs and
Uh-oh.
turn the ship around when things aren't going well. And the speculation is Diageo, which has quietly shuttered a number of distilleries this year and last year, that they may be in the point of axing several of them. So here's an interesting question, Evan. I mean, the company we've seen the most Linkwood from is, of course, Gordon MacPhail.
Hmm.
If Diageo were to shut Linkwood down, would Gordon MacPhail be in the market to buy?
Oh, wouldn't that be a dream combination?
Yeah.
I can't see them getting rid of Linkwood though, just because
No.
it is that like it's for over a century now. It's been considered like a top dresser
Yeah.
when it comes to blends. Um, it's the whiskey that all blenders seem to love
Hmm.
because a little bit of liquid goes a long way. We've seen that with Johnny Walker. We've seen that with Compass Box and with plenty of other blends as well. And then single cask wise and for single malts coming from independent bottlers, liquid tends to be pretty treasured as well.
Well, and let's look at, I mean, before we move on quickly, other distilleries Diageo could potentially shutter.
Yes.
You got Uthrusk, uh, you've got uh, um, what's the one that I really love? Ben Rinnes.
Yeah. Yeah. Two distilleries that they would probably have to pay to get someone else to take
Yeah,
them
no
off their
one's going to
hands.
buy it. No one sensible would buy those.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think, yeah, I don't think anyone sensible would buy those, but you never know. You never know.
Maybe
Well,
Royal Lochnagar just because it has Royal in the name.
mm, it's too close to the Queen's, sorry, the King's official residence in Scotland.
Mm,
It's a big tourist destination. I can't see them closing that one down. They'll
yeah.
close down distilleries most people will never have heard of before they close that down. So
Yeah. That's fair.
they have options. They've
Yeah.
got Manickmore, Evan. They've got Glenelgan. Pretty sure that's theirs. They've got
Yeah.
choices. They've got choices. Shall we
Yeah.
peek behind door number 17?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right
Let's
behind
go
you?
to a little bit of the opposite end of uh well, not distillation style, but production levels, I guess.
Going to Daftmill. So we've got the
Yeah.
Daftmill. Which one is it here?
The 2011 summer batch. I think it's
Yeah.
2011. So Daftmill Distillery, very small farm distillery around, I believe it's Fife,
Mhm.
in Scotland in
It's
the
it's in
lowlands.
Fife.
In
Fife
Fife,
is
pardon
an
me.
area, so it's in Fife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stylistically, these guys do long fermentation runs as well. So you might get a lot of that floral note that you get in Linkwood, but it goes in a little bit of a different direction for me. Um, Daftmill, again, like Linkwood, tends to do fantastically in ex-bourbon. Most of what they've used to mature their whiskey so far has been first fill ex-bourbon. Um, they aren't acquiring refill casks from anybody. They're actually just using their own refill casks once they've been used once, for the most part.
Mhm.
So small farm distillery that is only operated when the farm itself is not in operation, essentially. They do a summer run for about a month and a half and a winter run that lasts about 45 days, I think, when it comes to making spirit each year. So they're probably around 50,000 liters versus the 5.6 million liters for little,
No, no.
what, even less?
Evan, yeah, I think in a good year, Francis is doing like maybe 20 to 30,000 liters of spirit a year. Uh,
That makes sense.
Partly because I mean, so when you look at things like Malt Whiskey Yearbook, you have to be careful because there's the capacity, and the capacity is if you ran
Yeah,
that distillery,
that's peak. Yeah.
yeah, or if you ran it 5 days a week, um, one shift a day, what would your production be? And the
Mhm.
reality is Francis is running his distillery uh, five, six. Well, no, when he's in production, he's really in production 7 days a week for 2 to 3 months. But what's been interesting about this, and especially in an era when there's a lot of new distilleries that are struggling financially, some of them are going to go bankrupt. There's two interesting things about Daftmill. The first is that he only made as much money as the profits from the rest of the farm would allow him to produce. So he's
Yeah.
never done this debt leveraged. He's done it on his own. I mean, his brother's a partner in the business, but Francis is really the whiskey side of the business. And they got into it because they were growing barley and they got frustrated with the prices they were getting paid for barley in the early 2000s. So they looked at it and said, well, how hard would it be to make some of our own whiskey? And that's how they got going on that. So that's one part of it. But the other part of it is he's a one-man show. He
Yep.
has had people work for him for very short periods before, but they never managed to live up to his standards. And I think he's one of those guys that just feels it's easier to just not have any help,
Yep.
but to just do it all himself.
Hmm. Saks has sponge toffee on the Daftmill. I think that's on the nose and the palate for me. Um, yeah, they've been quietly, well, not so quietly. They've been kind of become a cult whiskey, I would say, Daftmill. Uh,
Sure.
and the interesting thing to tag on to what Andrew said, and I kind of alluded to this in the or wrote about it in the blog, is that Daftmill Distillery and Kilchoman Distillery started within about 2 weeks of each other when they were really originally launched. I think it was that winter of 2005.
Well, they started production in 2005.
Yeah. And it took an extra 9 years after Kilchoman, I believe, released their first single malt for Daftmill to release their first single malt.
Yeah.
Um, Cuthberts have definitely not, or they've been afforded the chance to have patience because they have not relied on this to be a real like money-making endeavor.
Hmm.
Um, Kilholman, of course, started with some deepish pockets, but it was still a venture that did have to start recouping costs.
Hmm.
And although their young spirit was very approachable and very powerful and
Hmm.
impressive at a young age with Kilholman, the fact that Daftmill didn't release anything until they had a 12-year-old essentially is pretty impressive.
Hmm. And that was a stated aim right from the beginning.
Yep. Yep.
Francis didn't want to release anything until it was good enough, like until it was like ready. And so the plan was not to release anything for 12 years. So I actually sought him out around probably 2010 or 2011 for the first time because I was fascinated that this guy was not going to release young whiskey like the other new distilleries were. Aaron did that to build their brand as well too, and to pay the bills as they grew.
Yep.
And yeah, it was interesting because it was kind of hard to get in to see him. I had to get someone to vouch for me and to kind of give me a like it's okay, this guy's cool. You can let him come show you. And then the whole time you're there, and it's been the same every time I've been there since, it's kind of like the longer you stay, the more of his time you're wasting, and the
Yep.
less time he could be spending working on his distillery. So he's a fascinating character. I think his whiskeys are very compelling. They're very interesting. It's been fun to watch. We did a bourbon single cask a couple years back. I want to say around 2022 or 2023, probably 2022. And it
Yep.
was like it sold out. It was a hit. People loved it. It wasn't inexpensive. But those bottles have sold for, some of them have gone for like crazy money online. Like I think
Yep.
some have gone for
In
about
Europe.
$3,000.
Yep. Yeah, it is crazy to see. Daftmill also has kind of, I don't think it was planned to be this, but it was the first distillery to start in the lowlands in years and years and years. And there's been a lowland distillery boom that's happened since 2005. There's been another
Mhm.
20 distilleries or so that have come online in that time. The latest one is Kythe Distillery, which could end up being kind of a similar venture, which has Angus MacRailed as one of the three gentlemen that's kind of in behind that one.
Hmm. I didn't realize Kythe was in the lowlands.
Sounds like it is, at least from what I could see. I know it was planned to be sort of like around Campbelltown, but I think, at least from what I can find, it was uh, there are a few places that say lowlands for it.
Hmm. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm near Blair Gowery. Yeah, I mean, uh that's an interesting one. That I'd like to see where they draw the map because from a
Yeah,
geological standpoint, that is technically in the lowlands. but it's
Hmm.
near Blair Gowery. I mean, it's very close to Glencadam and Fettercairn, and
Which are Highlands. Yeah,
yeah, Aberfeldy's not far away either, and those are all considered Highland malts. So who knows? Regardless, yeah, Daftmill is interesting. We do have a new single cask arriving in January. It's a
cool.
sherry cask. So kind of to refute what you were saying earlier, Evan, they do have sherry, but the bulk of what they fill is bourbon. And I think the reason for that
Yeah,
is that bourbon is just a classic whiskey cask profile. I think it's the cleanest one. It shows the spirit well. And the main thing about Daftmill is it's a very barley forward single malt. Like you can really, the barley is kind of a big part of the show, which makes sense because he's a farmer. He's growing his own barley, taking it away to get malted, and then bringing it back to the distillery to produce the whiskey. Um, and anyway, we've got a sherry cask Daftmill coming early in January. Not sure exactly when it'll be released, but sometime early in January. And yes, the Daftmill guy, Jennifer, is the one who basically takes his cattle trailer to pick up casks from the Speyside Cooperage location that's along the coast. You've got a good memory. And he's telling me that he hand picks his casks. Now, these are big operations. Anybody else who's buying bourbon barrels from them would just roll up and they would put these things on pallets,
yeah.
load them into a semi, drive them away. But no, this eccentric farmer slash whiskey maker comes and noses each cask personally and then puts them into his trailer to drive them away. It's the same cattle trailer he uses to transport his barley. It's funny when you talk to him, everything he does, every decision he makes is about efficiency. Like how many
Mhm.
casks can he fit in his truck trailer or in his horse trailer? That'll determine how many he can fill in a period of time. The amount of barley, all this stuff, it's all about efficiency, making the fewest trips he can down the highway. But yeah, he's a fascinating guy and he makes some very interesting, very compelling whiskeys.
So what do you think, or any notes on this one you want to pass on? It does kind of veer into that Linkwood style that we got on the first one for me. A little bit more like creamy chalkiness and minerality for
Mhm.
me, coming from the malt on this one for
I
me.
think the barley's more in there. I think your comment about the minerality is a good one
Yeah.
because it really does have that sort of flinty, slightly gravelly minerality to it. Some nice
Hmm.
bakery tones. The fruits are more in that apple, kind of lemon, maybe a bit of pineapple territory,
Hmm.
but very fresh. Finishes a little nutty. It's a very pretty dram.
Yeah. And does have a bit of that sort of like long fermentation time slash yeasty quality
Mhm.
that I get in the Linkwood as well.
And per the comment earlier on there, it is very crushable.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
all right, let's see what's behind
Shh.
door 18.
Yeah.
There we go. Had to locate it. Pop the old window. Oh, jeez. I think it's because there's so few left in here now. The
Yeah.
insert is starting to shift slightly.
The
So I
structural
really got to
integrity of the
fish it out.
calendar. Yeah.
So we are going to Tim Hortons now with
Yeah,
the Dewar's Double Double 27-year-old.
that's right. Yeah, so this is part of a line that has been pretty popular, at least in Alberta here. Uh, there's a 21, a 27, and a 32-year-old version of the Dewar's Double Double. Much better than Tim Hortons Double Double, in my opinion. But each age statement on that has a slightly different finish or slightly different last marriage in casks. I believe is it PX for the 21, it's Palo Cortado casks for the 27 that we'll be tasting, and then Oloroso cask for the 32, if I remember correctly.
You might be right. I honestly don't know. I just know that they're double doubles.
Yeah.
And I think it's also worth noting that this whiskey range came out at an interesting time. I think they first floated this around the time that they had their tie-in with Compass Box. And why that was interesting was that Compass Box had really sort of set up the bar a little higher for blends, had
Mhm.
challenged, the industry in the way it had been run for a while. And Dewar still has its classic range. They still have,
Yeah,
um, their regular core range, but they came
white
out with
label
these
12.
21,
Yeah.
27, and 32-year-old double releases. And I think this was a way for them to kick things up a little bit, to put out a product that was geared towards malt drinkers. And a lot of the accolades for this go to the woman whose signature is on the bottle.
Yeah,
Um,
Stephanie McLeod.
yeah, not often you see a female master blender. There's a few of them out there, but I think she's
Mhm.
done a great job with these whiskeys and has really put something kind of compelling and interesting out there for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's gotten lauded for it. She was the first female master distiller to win Master Blender of the Year from the IWC, or International Whiskey Competition. Now, a lot of these things are you have to pay to enter and blah blah blah, and but she won it 6 times in a row,
Mhm.
which is pretty impressive as well. She didn't win it in 2025. Drew Mayville from Sazerac/Buffalo Trace did, which again, a great master blender who's been in it for years.
Is it too offside to say slash fireball or
I don't think he got it for Fireball. He actually got it for Mr. Sam, that bottle that nobody can find that everybody wants. Possibly more rare than the Pappies and the BTAC collection at the
okay.
moment.
All right.
But regardless, she has done a great job with these. And company behind Dewar's, or ownership of Dewar's, is Bacardi, um, and has been since around 2005, if I remember correctly.
I think it might have been slightly earlier than that,
Yeah,
but it
yeah,
was it
maybe
was
2002.
because I think it actually that traced back to the late 90s because the British Competition Authority was
Yeah,
not comfortable with the number of distilleries Diageo owned, and
yeah,
basically said you need to sell off a handful of distilleries and a couple of blends. Like you
yeah.
you have too much of the industry, you're too powerful. And that was why Bacardi came in and purchased the five distilleries: Aberfeldy, Royal Brackla, Altmore, um, God, what are the rest? Craig
Well, they
Illicky,
had, yeah, they
Babassi,
had Macduff
forget them,
already, I
and
believe.
Macduff.
Yeah,
But
but yeah, go ahead.
it was just going to say it's completely unrelated. But my favorite story about the Bacardi family that I love mentioning every chance I can is they were so mad at the communists when they overthrew Cuba, whom they had apparently even supported and encouraged because everyone was fed up with the regime. And then the communists expropriated their distillery. The Bacardi family, who I believe had relocated to Puerto Rico, managed to purchase a surplus World War II bomber and were planning to launch the first corporate bombing campaign of a sovereign country before the US government figured it out and stepped in and said, "Yeah, let's not do that," which is hilarious when you think about it, because I mean that's basically the genesis of where a private citizen could buy a bazooka was
Yeah.
at the end of World War II. You want to buy a bomber and some bombs? Sure, no problem. No questions
Mhm.
asked.
Yeah, Trump as a child must have been taking notes uh, when it comes to that, I think.
No,
Um,
Evan, he's a
yes,
peacemaker. He's a
that's
peacemaker.
fair. That's fair. Hopefully nobody from Nobel is listening.
Hey, he already
Uh,
got the FIFA Peace Prize, Evan. Like
that's
that's a
right.
very prestigious award.
That's coming from a very legitimate government body. So Dewars and Johnny Walker, actually, before that sale, were owned by the same company for about 70 years, which is crazy to think about. Dewars, again, is not at the same level as Johnny Walker nowadays, but for a long time it was, after World War II. And I believe it was kind of like in the same echelon of sales. And they were owned by the same company, but kept at like arm's length, essentially, and allowed to compete with each other.
Well, it's lovely. I can't help but think that this seems to have almost like a bit of smoke, like a faint
Yeah.
peat edge to it. Like at first
I
I thought
wasn't
it
getting
was
it on yeah. The
I
first
thought it
time
was
around, I
just
didn't get it, but I do now.
I thought it was just the sherry initially, but actually there's quite a nice kind of ashy, dry peat note in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of in the background there and it's really well done. This is a fantastic blend in my opinion. 46% alcohol. The one maybe downside is like the price is good, but it is a half size bottle.
Mhm.
But for a 27-year-old blend, that's like $120 for a half bottle. That's not bad at all.
No.
I
And
would love to see this at like 52% or so, though, just to see what it was like.
don't rush out and buy a bottle right now because it's
Hmm.
going on sale in on Boxing Day of all days.
Nice.
So we'll be bringing some in after Boxing Day and putting it on sale. The thing about Bacardi and their whiskeys, including Craig Illicky and the Aberfeldy, is
Yeah.
well, Aberfeldy and the Dewar's Double Double range, they go on sale a lot, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of it. So don't feel a rush to buy. I think what ends up happening, and this is one of the dirty little secrets in the industry, is the big liquor companies have to keep Ontario and Quebec happy. So they jack up the prices in Alberta, but they know they won't sell at those prices. So then they put things on deep discount roughly every 2 to 3 months, which is when we'll buy them. And then we'll usually put them on sale as well. So if you like this or the 32-year-old, which is like gooier and more
Yeah.
syrupy, they'll both be going on sale in if not late December, then early January.
Right on. Yeah. Great dram.
Mhm. Quite like that. But I am
Hmm.
interested to see what's behind door number 19.
Yeah.
Oh, Jennifer's pointing out that the 32-year-old is already 50% off while supplies last, but then we will get more supplies. So again,
Yeah.
don't panic.
Yeah. If you go to our website, I've made it so you can just type in double double, or Tim Hortons actually, and it'll bring up the Dewar's line.
Amazing. Hopefully that won't get us flagged by some content skimming scheme on YouTube.
You can blame like a rogue employee. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, Evan, they're just going to reduce the chance that we might have some faint monetization of our YouTube channel in the far distant
That's right.
future.
That's right.
All right, door number 19 is the 25th anniversary Old Malt Cask Tomintoul 17 year Speyside whiskey. I believe from the highest distillery in Scotland is Tomintoul.
Oh,
The,
it might be. I
I believe it
was trying to
is.
remember. I think Delwynnie's up there, but could be wrong.
Well, Evan, what can you tell us about this while I'm searching out that fact?
Well, so Tom and Toole Distillery has a very, I would say, frustratingly extensive line right now.
Hmm.
If you're a liquor store, what's more frustrating about it is a lot of it is bottled at 40% alcohol and um, at a put out at a maybe unjustifiable price. For a lot of the lineup as well, it feels like they're one of, well, not the last. There's plenty of them out there, but they're one of the companies that has not sort of corrected their pricing yet or their pricing model when it comes to things yet, which is too bad. Don't know if that's happening on the importing side or the actual
No,
company side or both.
it'll be on the production side because I remember
That's what
talking
I
with the
figured.
importers about this about a year ago. Um, Before we stick to that and then move on from that point, Evan, the reason
Yeah,
I get confused about it being the highest elevated distillery is that the town of Tomintoul, which is higher up in the mountains, I believe is the highest altitude town in Scotland. But
gotcha.
the distillery is a bit downhill and actually a bit of a
Nice.
ways from the town as well. But to your point about Angus Dundee Distillers, their Glencadam and Tomintoul brands, I mean, as much as it's not, doesn't feel good to sometimes call these things out, but the
Yeah,
sad reality is, if let's say you call Macallan first tier, and then maybe like the likes of like Springbank second
yes.
tier distilleries, it would be charitable to say that Tomintoul and Glencadam are like fourth tier. Like
Yep.
they're just not distilleries people get excited about. They're not distilleries that like have a rabid cult following to them. It's not to say they can't produce good whiskeys. It's just no one's ever been excited about Glencadam or Tomintoul. And yeah,
Yep.
the prices are too high. Their range is now too extensive.
Yep.
And I think they're dabbling in this market was, I mean, I'm not sure that it fits with their core business model, which is bargain
No.
basement blended whiskeys.
No, and if you look at Angus Dundee's page itself, it's they do a lot of blended Scotch, and that's where they made their name when they were established in 1950. A gentleman that was an executive at Burnt Stewart before that started Angus Dundee and focused on blending. A lot of what they do is make sort of purpose-built blends for the likes of Tesco and supermarkets in the UK and Europe that don't make their way over there, but they're very much sort of geared towards like not just the value proposition of things over there, but whiskey as a commodity, more than whiskey as a prestige item. And when you see sort of like the prestige price model come in without any sort of even attempt at prestige treatment towards the bottle or the whiskey itself, sometimes it looks very egregious.
Well, I think
But
that,
yeah, go ahead.
well, no, what's your butt? Get your butt first.
But all that being said, this is not from Angus Dundee. This is from Hunter Lang,
Yeah.
and it's part of their 25th anniversary series. And this is where you can sometimes pay a premium for independent bottlings of something, but sometimes you get something special. And that's what this is, in my opinion.
Yeah. Evan, just to finish out on the Dundee, I think with their single
Hmm.
malts, they forgot that before you can run, you need to learn to walk. And
Yeah,
their single malts weren't walking, and then they tried to put them in the 100-meter dash at the Olympics. Is it
yeah,
kind of where it feels like where they are, which again is not to say they're not good products, especially the Glencadam, like the 10 and the 15, I think have been
yep.
excellent products. Um, this is 25th anniversary release from Old Malt Cask, which is owned by Hunter Lang. This is a retro package throwback to what the packaging used to look like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, with the
Hmm.
box, the bottle, tinted glass, even the foil. All of this stuff is a throwback to old malt cask when I first got started in the industry.
Yeah. So we had on day nine, we had the 17-year-old Speyburn from OMC. That was part of their 25th anniversary as well. Another distillery that maybe gets forgotten about very easily, but that one was fantastic. This one is as well. There's this bit of delicateness to the sherry cask influence on this one that I just absolutely love. It's not just like Tom and Tool overwhelmed with sherry. It's the sherry that's integrated with the spirit in a really nice manner.
Uh, yeah, I love the nose on this. It's very doughy, makes me think of like donuts, fresh baguettes, French butter. My original tasting note on this, slightly tart off-dry Gewürztraminer on the
Yeah.
nose. It does have, I mean, also has a bit of that like diesel-y note you sometimes get from Riesling. But what's nice
Hmm.
is you have those nice baked tones, those white fruits, and then the sherry is this sort of balanced, steadying, present but not overpowering influence, adding in a bit of leather, adding in a bit of earthiness as well. On the palate, yeah, more of the same, more nice baked goods. It reminds me of like a fancy donut. Like if you ever go to Native Tongues and have their Mexi donut, I think they call it. Uh, some nice soft fruit tones there, soft leather, a nice little bit of dark chocolate.
So, question from G. Bezer that I cannot answer. Would you elaborate on the effects of altitude on distilleries?
Um, I'm not sure that I think if you look at it from the standpoint of the microclimate that a spirit's produced in, then it's going to have an effect. But I think that effect will be different in different places. So it's really more just a novelty than anything to say that this
Mhm.
is the most high altitude distillery in Scotland or the second most. I think what is more meaningful is if a distillery is located right on the coast, and I can use Talisker as an example here,
Yeah.
you get quite a salty impact on the spirit. Now, if you go
Yep.
to the visitor center, they'll tell you some bullshit about how because the spirit matures next to the ocean and breathes in the sea air, when in fact it's tankered to central Scotland. Like it spends 5 days on the island, it gets mashed, milled, fermented, distilled, and then sent to central Scotland to be put into warehousing. Uh, but that short period of time it spends there, and the same is true with Kalila. Almost no Kalila is
Yep.
matured on Isla. And yet that salty maritime influence has an influence on it. It's probably coming from the water.
Yeah. Pulteney seems to have it as well
Yeah. Although
without the
at least
peat.
Pulteney is matured predominantly at the distillery.
Yeah. True.
But yeah, microclimates have an influence, but not in the way that the industry oversimplifies and tells you. Like highlands are a meaningless term. Speyside is a meaningless term. Nowadays, the lowlands is a meaningless term. To suggest there's a lowland style or a Speyside style or a highland style is complete nonsense. The only place where that's even remotely true is Isla, but even there, it doesn't entirely hold true.
Yeah, and it's been complete nonsense for probably a half a century or more at this point. You could make an argument that maybe if you go back 150 years or so, where the even the grains would have been
Mm,
uh, that would have been brought in for the distillery to use would have been a bit more local.
mhm.
There probably was a bit more of a terroir aspect or a regional aspect coming from that, but not
Mhm.
nowadays.
Well, you know what would be fun to dig into, Evan? We don't have time to do it tonight. When
Hmm.
did the regions appear? Like when were Scotch whiskey regions declared?
Yeah,
Because the Highland Lowland one actually does go back almost 2 centuries.
yeah,
That was a division that went back and had an influence, and there was rules around it. It's a reason why the lowlands had larger distilleries, predominantly grain, but some malt. Um, the rest of them, though, like Isla and Campbellton, like when did they get their regions? Like I don't think this goes
yep,
back centuries. And what's interesting when you look at the comment from Chris's marketing, the regions really only started getting promoted when Diageo decided to promote
yes.
its classic six
Malts of
single
Scotland.
malts,
Yep,
which I believe was sometime in the 1990s that they came up
yep,
with that idea. So it's not a historic thing that goes back. And even if you look at what a classic Speyside whiskey was, pre-World War II, there, a lot of Speyside whiskeys were peated. And peat would not be something you associate with the Speyside style. So anyway, I get hot and bothered about anyone talking about regions because they are, for all intents and purposes, meaningless. But
that's also the reason, just to tag on to that Campbelltown was not a region. It's because Diageo didn't have a distillery in Campbelltown.
no, but that without going down a rabbit hole, that's the whole Headley Wright from Springbank opening a
Yep,
closed distillery that he had familial ties to simply to settle an argument with the Scotch Whisky Association, opening a distillery out of spite, which is an amazing story we don't have time for, but it happened and it's a fact. Um, Anything more to say about this Tomintoul?
just a lovely drown. Like I really like the fact that the two OMCs that we've had in here um, have been very delicate with the
Mm,
sherry approach they have.
yeah,
Uh, I was really worried when we put them in. I hadn't tried them before that they'd be a little bit over the top, but they are very individual. They don't show as one another do, which is really cool too.
yeah. Um, Apparently we're ruining Scotch for Adam right now. I mean,
Yeah,
just don't like Scotch is awesome. The industry is great. I can still love Talisker and know that it has no, it's
yeah,
not because the casks slept at the distillery and weren't disturbed for a period of time. Like I can separate those two things and still find the whole thing fascinating. But it does go back to that point, that comment is marketing is just that sometimes. It's stretching the
yeah.
truth, creating a fiction to make something sound more interesting. I mean, all that stuff has happened. But I think
Yep.
when you know actually what is actually happening, in some ways that makes it more fascinating. Knowing
Yep.
that Diageo matures all of its makes at that one central warehousing place north of Glasgow and Edinburgh is fascinating when you consider that those spirits still remain so different from each other when they eventually get bottled.
Yep. That warehouse looks like the sort of the human batteries from the Matrix scene too, doesn't it? From what I've heard.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hmm.
Apparently, Zach had a terroir. I believe he meant terrier, but
It
a terroirier.
it bit off the extra eye. It was so
Yeah.
nasty.
Well, sadly, the proponent of or
Yeah.
Irish terroir is no longer in business, which is
Yeah.
a sad story in itself, but we won't get into that tonight. All right, we're wrapping off the penultimate Advent tasting with a
Hmm.
25-year-old Ardmore. I guess this is our ultimate dram of the penultimate tasting.
Yes.
Um, apparently, I got tricked into answering a bingo question, but that's part of the fun. This is true. I still have not looked at the bingo form. I don't know what's on there. Um,
Yeah.
but there you go.
Well, I swear it's a race usually, whether to find out whether you're going to mention your dog before I mention my children. It's usually going to be one or the other. You win this time.
Who's the more spoiled, Evan?
I know. Yeah.
Probably it's probably pretty equal.
Yeah.
But all right, let me pop this one up on screen.
Hmm.
This is a fairly naked Ardmore
Very naked.
25-year-old from Single Malts of Scotland. Cask 750792. Very romantic.
And I gotta say, just nosing it now, I kind of want to redo my tasting note that I did last night. Maybe I was in a bad mood, but I don't feel like I did this justice just by the nose now.
Well, the good news, Evan, is you haven't even put that on the website yet, at least not in the tasting description. So
No,
you
no, I
got
did forget to. I didn't link that. I was busy all day with ice times. I just got it up on the regular blog.
yeah. So you
Sadly, I'll
still
have
have
to
time to
loop that in.
amend your ways. And it wouldn't be the first time. Like I've edited tasting notes after a while where I thought, you
Oh
know what,
yeah,
I missed this. And I suppose this is an opportunity to just quickly touch on a valid point, which is that we've found, I think, Evan, I'm sure you can
yeah,
back me up on this, that depending on the day, depending on your mood, depending on the temperature, the humidity,
yep,
all these other factors, the way you taste, the way you smell things can change. In that Uber Advent calendar, there's that
yes,
98 Kalila, which when we tasted it about 6 months ago against our store 2002 cask, I liked it better. Now I'm not so sure because tasting it again last week, it didn't impress me as
yep.
much as it did the first time.
Well, this is also part of the reason we do sort of go back and do our lightning round or speed round
Mhm.
through the second time. Is just these whiskeys will change in the glass on top of that, and we saw that in the Uber calendar with a couple drams as well,
Mhm.
including the what was it the 42-year-old JP Wisers.
Yeah. So, Evan, we haven't mentioned this yet, although I have to imagine it's probably on the bingo card too. Ardmore is not amongst my favorite distilleries typically. If
Yep,
I don't know if the word hit or miss is on the bingo card, but if it is, you can daub it.
yep,
I find the distillate, especially at a young age, to be a little off-putting. It's
hmm,
barnyardy and not in a good way. But this has got some maturity behind it. This has been and not coated in oak. Like this is
yep.
fairly naked, fairly spirit driven, but it's oxidized. It's had a chance to get fruity. That funkiness is still there. That smoke is still there, but it's a much more pretty and elegant package than typical.
Yeah, there's some I wasn't getting this last night when I nosed it because I got the typical like breakfast Ardmore tones of bacon and uh, pancakes and syrup and oatmeal and so on and so forth. That Ardmore tends to be a pretty grain-driven whiskey for me with a bit of smoke and peat, but there's a bit of a salt and vinegar chip note for me right on the nose right now.
Yeah. Apparently, I need to take a longer stroll down garden paths tonight, Evan. that I have not done yet. I think the flaw in that is that someone didn't bait me into that as
Yeah,
opposed to telling me it's there. Now that I know it's there, I'm going to try not to trip on it.
yeah. You
Um,
got to be very careful of shaping your questions
that's
from
right.
here on in.
So, I mean, this has a note that I love in sort of spirit-driven whiskeys is this innocuous, like assorted jelly belly, jelly bean note where
Yep.
there's a ton of little flavors, a lot of different fruits all over the spectrum, but I can't seem to touch any of them, but I know there's a lot of them there. And it's on the palate too. You get this burst of fruits. None of them are like dominant. None of them are
No.
really stealing the show, but there's a lot of them and they're kind of busy and all over the place.
Yeah, it's not a shout from the rooftops, Ardmore. It's a little bit more subtle than that, I would say. Like a
Mhm.
shout from the rooftops, 25-year-old Ardmore would have been our G&M Sherry Ardmore.
Yeah. I love how muddy and ashy the peat is on the palate,
Yeah.
almost mushroomy, and just with these traces of artificial fruits lying underneath it. A little bit of honey.
Mhm. Yeah, still has those nice breakfasty notes. Just a
Mhm.
touch of like coastal notes, like saltiness on
Mhm.
the palate for me as well, which Ardmore does not always have.
It's getting meaty. It's getting a little leathery, a little earthy. Very, very chewy.
Just like really crisp grain still coming through for me,
Hmm.
like 12 grain toast.
So common here, tastes like at the NAS long row to Chris.
Yeah.
Delicious, but challenged for the price. I mean, the price in this is a reflection of just the age. Single cask, 25-year-old.
Mhm.
I have to be honest, the price is what the price is. I don't think it's overly expensive. Uh,
Yeah,
but at the same time, I think the price is fair for the age, but if you were to compare it and say, can you get something that you like better or tastes better for less money? I think that's a pretty easy thing. I'm pretty sure
for
that's
sure.
the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and especially
Um,
if that's your point, Chris, you're comparing it to the long row, that makes perfect sense.
yeah.
Well, Jen and Dave are off to do presumably the companions of the Quake Advent tasting. So have a good night, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Cheers.
Um, well, Evan, anything more to say about that one?
No, just Ardmore just tends to be a weird distillery when it comes
Mhm.
down to it. Purpose built for blends back in 1898. Purpose built to provide malt for teachers. Highland Cream, the blended Scotch, and part of Beam Suntory Global's, pardon me, repertoire when it comes to single malts, and
Mhm.
very much still the bastard stepchild in
Yeah.
the lineup of Scottish distilleries that Suntory Global has.
Mhm. I like this. I don't love it. I kind of feel like this would have been better in a Gordon MacPhail sherry cask.
Yeah,
But I think that's,
there's yeah.
as you say, that's the way I feel about Ardmore most of the time. So,
Mhm. Yeah, there's a Scotch Malt Whiskey Society bottle we have that's 25 years old. There is a Gordon MacPhail 1994 Ardmore still available. That's 26 years old, I believe,
mhm.
on the shelf. That I don't think we've had that one in a tasting lineup yet. I could be wrong.
Well, we'll have to look at that. If not, we'll see
Hmm.
if we can remedy it. All right. Evan, I think it's time for the speed round.
Yes,
So back to that single malts of Scotland Linkwood, and it's still so fresh, fruity, and
yeah,
floral.
that has the assorted jelly beans right now on the
Mhm.
nose for me. Juicy fruit gum again. A bit of potpourri on the nose.
Oh, the palate so honeyed,
Yeah, waxy.
apples and pears like sautéed in honey. It's sweet, malty, a little bit of granola in there too. All right, comments on the Daftmill.
Daftmill. Love this nose. It's just like it's the grain that's drying on the malting floor almost after
Yeah,
being steeped.
yogurt dipped like glossette raisins.
Yeah, that's a good call. Very yogurty in style.
Yeah, malty, yogurty, some nice fruit tones.
Dustin going back to the Linkwood says peak time Orchard House for the Linkwood on Orchard
Mhm.
House is a blend that it's big in. Very fruit forward on this Daftmill as well. Still a bit creamier and chalkier on the palate.
Yeah, love those malt tones.
Mhm.
Just the right amount of oak, nice balance to it. Really nice, like sweet spices on the finish. All
Mhm.
right, back to Tim Hortons.
The double double, 27-year-old.
It smells like Parbake.
Yeah, it's getting
You,
a little bit chewier on the nose.
Evan, do you know what parbaking is?
I feel like I should. It was something I heard at the Petroleum Club when I was there a few times.
So it's how Tim Hortons cooks things in centralized kitchens to 90% fresh,
Ah,
and then they freeze them and then deliver them to the restaurants where they do the last 10% of the baking on site. Yeah. Is it
hilarious.
Tim's joke on the bingo card? Is that a daub?
No,
Do we get to daub that? Ah,
no, it's Tim Hortons just hasn't come up a lot before the double double
that's
made its
fair. The nose on this has got some really nice exotic fruit tones to it. And a little
yeah,
bit of
it's
like sweaty gym clothes.
yeah. I'm getting like those chocolate coated espresso beans right now on
Mm.
the nose.
Nice candied fruits, little spice. Again, just this faint little kick of peat on there too. I'd love to
Yeah.
know which whiskeys were blended into this.
Yeah, I think the biggest downside to this one is that 375 ml bottle would not last.
Yeah, quite drinkable, quite tasty. But Evan, will it be in my top three?
Yeah.
We won't know for a few more minutes.
Mm.
Back to that Tomintoul 17-year-old.
Yes. Just a little bit of like grape juice meets either apple cider vinegar or balsamic vinegar on the nose.
Also a new tennis ball note for anyone
Yeah.
who's cracked a can of tennis balls before.
A touch of like Play-Doh in there as well.
Hmm.
Really grapey,
Nice leather
just nice
tones.
fruits. Yeah.
Yeah. Leather spices, nice fruits, a bit of honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's got a nice palate
Gentle
on it too.
acidity on the palate too. Keeps your
Yeah.
mouth watering.
All right, Evan. I think I know. I
Ardmore?
think I know my three.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Back to the Ardmore. It's one of the better Ardmores I've had lately, but it's still not a favorite.
It's gone BLT sandwich for me
Mm.
on the nose.
Mhm. I can see that. Maybe like a bacon crisps, like bacon potato chips.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I'm ready to fire up the poll. Have you we have a poll, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
We
did
do have
one.
a poll. All right. I fired it up. So it is now open for voting. So while people are voting, Evan, I don't often do this. I often put you on the spot to buy myself more time
Yeah.
to cement my favorite whiskeys. I don't
Well, and
think
this
I
is
need to
good
do that.
because this will let me actually disagree with you, which I think people look forward to more than us
Oh,
agreeing.
is that a bingo square?
Yeah.
Could be. Uh, all right. My favorite, hands down, is the Linkwood. I just love the
Cool.
nose and palate on that. It's just so juicy, floral, rich. It's very pretty. I thought the Daftmill was going to be my number two, but I'm actually going to go for the Tomintoul. I
Cool.
I just think it's got some nice layers to it. It's got some nice complexity to it. And this is the big surprise for me. The two 20 somethings are not in my top three. The Daftmill will be my third pick. So I've
Cool.
struck out the older whiskeys from my favorites for tonight's tasting.
Nice. Well, I am going to echo you on my favorite being the Linkwood. Um, I still like our Tourmore cask just a little bit more, but that
Oh,
Linkwood is just phenomenal. Such a good single cask pick that we have there. Yeah, it's great. Really sort of like solidified my enjoyment and my feeling that I need to seek out more Linkwood to try. Um, my second favorite is the Dewar's Double Double. I just think that's a great and kind of like not necessarily underrated, but just like subtle blend. The peat coming through there, really nice sherry without the sherry being all of it and everything in it.
mhm.
There's a lot going on in there, and I was really impressed with that. My third favorites, I'm gonna pick the Tomintoul as well. Down, it just slightly edges out that Daftmill, so pretty close to you.
There you go. Well, I'm glad we weren't perfectly matchy because that would just be
Yes,
a little too uncomfortable and
absolutely.
also would be less entertaining. So, not on brand. Now, the voting is nearly done. One of you still has to complete voting. We will give you 30 seconds to do so. Um, and then we'll go through and quickly comment on that. But before we do that, Evan, anything else we need to mention about the next handful of days?
Yeah. So first of all, the final tasting does not happen on Christmas Day, just because we don't want anything to end in divorce for anybody, including ourselves.
Sure.
That'll be on the 28th. Hopefully, we'll see you guys here again. And yeah, should be a pretty baller finish, from what I recall. Still working on getting those blog posts up, but excited to
Mm.
run through those last five.
I don't even remember what's coming, so it'll be a surprise to me and something that we can enjoy together. So here are the results. Favorite whiskey, and I know there was a couple of votes from the handful of people that had to skedaddle, but two things here stand out. One, the Linkwood
Yes.
was the clear favorite, but everything got at least two votes. So I don't think that that's happened in a tasting so far.
Mhm.
So this is the most evenly spread. And then second favorite, well, this has happened once before. The Linkwood is both the first and second favorite whiskey of the
Yeah.
night. And then very, very evenly spread for the other selections there.
Yeah. And the Ardmore came in second in the first round as well, which is pretty impressive.
It is nice.
Just goes to show you if you haven't had much from the single malts of Scotland, you should check their stuff out. They do some fantastic bottlings.
Absolutely. All right. Now, Evan, the traditional cheeky third question.
Yeah, this one isn't too cheeky. So,
Oh, no, I'm disappointed.
yeah. Third question is what distillery gets very little or very poor treatment by its parent company and is your favorite? Or which of these distilleries is your favorite that does get the poor treatment? First place with more than half the votes is Linkwood Distillery. Um, it gets pretty good treatment, I would say, but we just don't see it because a lot of it is for blending. It could get better treatment when it came to the single malt side of things, but luckily they sell a lot of it off, so we get single casks like this.
Mhm.
Uh, Teeninic got only a couple of votes. That would have been my pick. Ardmore came in second place there, and I think that is justifiable as well. The official bottlings of Ardmore are pretty much atrocious, and just
They're dreadful.
they do not show that distillery any love at all, even less love than Andrew does. And We had one vote for other. Uh, who voted for other, and what is your choice? Don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
think we
that
were
came up
hoping they
yet.
would add the comment in the chat, but we'll see.
Yeah,
No, well, while we're waiting for that,
yeah,
um, as it is the 20th and our next tasting is not until the 28th, I do want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, Happy
yes,
Holidays. We will get to see you before the New Year's, so we'll save that one until. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us thus far. I hope you've been enjoying the choices that we had for you this year. And I guess we'll see you on the other side of the, collective home break-in we're all supposedly about to experience.
Hmm.
Yeah. The mystical collective home break-in.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, well,
Yeah.
until then, have a good night, everybody. Merry Christmas. And we'll chat with you again in 8 days.
Yeah. Fire those chimneys, everybody.